Hi there, you're at the Litecoin Wyckoff technical analysis session, and we go straight into the charts and see where Litecoin is heading. So last week we discussed about something kind of interesting because we were at that point last week, and then I raised the question: is it really the buying climax over there that it seems to be like a notch lower than what we had in December last year? So not that it's like too low, because back in April 2024 and in 2023 those levels aren't very, like, it's already higher than those levels. That's what I wanted to say, even though it's lower than the buying climax back in December. But very importantly, if this buying climax is real, if it really ends at this level, so it's not too high compared to the PSY, and the key thing over here is a declining peak, consistently declining. If I draw a straight line, and that's not a good sign if you are trying to hold LTC for long term. I've covered this in some other altcoins as well, that I noticed this kind of lower and lower buying climax situation, because the climaxes are basically getting closer and closer to the what I would consider sign of strength in previous accumulation cycles. So it's a bit weird. Well, actually those are not. Sorry, it's not. It's just the peaks. There's lower peaks, not accumulation. I should say distribution. So it's a bit worrying. So this one, it may be showing us a little bit positivity compared to these peaks over there, but then now that it's coming back down again, if it really is the climax, hopefully it's not, and hopefully it's going to show us an upthrust that at least close above this white box. Then for the bulls and whoever are diamond hands holding LTC for long term, hopefully they'll have room to take a deep breath. At least the coin is not showing declining peaks. So that's where we are at in terms of the big picture. Hopefully this is not the highest point, because it's like it's telling us, hey, we have touched the top edge of the white box, let's come down, and this may well be the automatic reaction already. Good news is there may be a rebound to a second test or even upthrust after the automatic reaction. Bad news is sometimes the second test can be really low, basically below the buying climax, and then immediately it comes down to show us a sign of weakness. So, well, this is a weekly chart, and there's still time for these events to evolve. So let's give it time. I just quickly check whether there's a squeeze. There's no squeeze, so there may not be a significant price move, at least in the weekly time frame. So let's look at the daily and see what we're seeing here. Last time we put in the upthrust and we asked whether we're going to see a second test from the upthrust, or are we going to see an automatic reaction as well as a sign of weakness. Automatic reaction already happened. It is, I call this an AR tool, not to mix up with the AR of the buying climax. And it seems like it's coming down to show us a sign of weakness as well, because the price is trying to stay above this key level. The green line at 116 currently is staying just slightly above it, but we all know, I mentioned a lot of times, these key levels are not just one single number, it's a range. So while I say it is 116, you can see some of the wicks over here went above, or these candles closes above it. So it can be ranging from 115 to 117. So that means it's in a battle zone, a heavy battle zone between the bulls and the bears. While the bulls are trying to push it up and probably show us a second test somewhere around or below the upthrust, and maybe an upthrust after distribution. That's the hope for the bulls. But the bears obviously are trying to push it down towards the sign of weakness level. If you look at the volume bars, those red bars, the red volumes are pretty tall compared to the green. So that means at this level near the white line, that's the long-term playground zone ceiling, the resistance is very strong at the moment. So long-term playground zone is the area that the price of Litecoin has been traded like over 70% of the time if you look at the chart. So it covers from May 2017 getting to almost 10 years now, time flies, and all the way to where we are now. So it is a very strong resistance level that we're seeing that this upthrust has touched on. So it's not surprising for the price to come down and show us a sign of weakness. And while we're seeing this, we're seeing the purple lines coming together as well as the orange. So this is the Bollinger Band Kona Squeeze indicator. It's free, you can get it on TradingView. Just search BB Kona. What it says is whenever the purple lines are changed to color so it won't mix up with the others, so it's easier for me to explain to you. Whenever the purple staircase like lines are getting into the orange or very close to the orange, like what we are seeing now, we consider that a squeeze. And when a squeeze happens, a bigger price move will happen. So if we take a reference from here, you see after this accumulation as well as the squeeze, the price surged, and then another period like over here, the squeeze happened and the price crazily come down, and then immediately another squeeze, it went up again. So it's very crazy, and like here there's another one that the price dropped very significantly. So it's even more wild when we look at the daily chart compared to a weekly. So enough craziness. Having said that, the squeeze is coming. So in a few days time, probably even before our next session, a squeeze may happen. If it does happen, I just want to see whether there are any trends being formed, because it's been trading a bit sideways. Whether this is really developing into a trend, only time can tell. But as of now, if the price really edges sideways, it may touch the top edge of this channel box, this downward channel box, and it may really surge down, take a move to show us a sign of weakness over there. So let's say if it really does, in 3 days time it's going to edge towards this ceiling, and if it really comes down, that's really just within a week's time we'll be able to see that happening. That's scenario one. If it doesn't follow the downward trend, if the downward trend hypothesis is wrong, then it has to go outside of the box, so it continues to trade sideways. Just that if it really comes down, there is 1, 2 triangles over there. So these two triangles, assuming the downtrend holds true, one is located end of this month, the other is located first week of September. Both are significant because it either tells us the downtrend is going to continue, where it breaks both support levels, where the yellow one is a key level at around $100. That's where the last peak over here was. So this range is a key range. So if it really breaks down below this yellow key level, it's like the daily trend is going to, or daily chart is going to get into an accumulation zone. So that's why I say these two triangles is very important. If it breaks out, it can still trade sideways to show us some LPSYs. And if good news comes in for the crypto industry, because of a lot of bills are being passed, and maybe there are good news for the industry, then there may be a chance after the LPSYs, the UTAD may come. But that has to follow what's happening on the weekly. So in order to show that can happen, in the weekly chart, if it really comes to a sign of weakness, it has to rebound from a sign of weakness to show us at least a second test in order for the daily chart to get to something like an upwards of the distribution. So that's the prerequisite for here in the daily, in the weekly chart. So that's why in the very beginning when I asked the question, are we really seeing the buying climax already? It's unbelievable. It's a much lower close. Not that the top is way lower. So the top compared to the last peak is less than 10% lower. So it's not too wild, but still, looking at how short-lived this run compared to this very green scenario, it's so basically 4 candles we have, these 4, after getting out of the accumulation. Last time getting out of the accumulation, well, interestingly, it's not too long. It's also 4 candles actually. That was the last one. Likewise, that was the last one this time. So it's possible that this is the buying climax. Unfortunately, it may be a little bit disappointing for the boost, but this is where it is. And like the red volume bars aren't very encouraging, even though they're not as long as tall as in February or March. So hopefully Litecoin may still continue to trade sideways, but currently it looks like it's trying to show us a sign of weakness somehow, combining daily and weekly chart. So that's it for